Hi, loves. So, for a few reasons, I wanted to take a minute to just share with you some of my basic understandings of Sufism, Taoism, and Shakti. A lot of times it's been coming up more and more in this fifth year of the school. Just what is the lineage here? Where have I studied? What's informing her mystery school? What do I mean when I say deep feminine? And I think that in a way, what I'm for me, what that is, it's a very living, very intimate thing, right? It's a way of being. It's something that I know, something that I've been following and kind of moving towards and being guided towards for 25 years, right? So it's very hard to put into words. If we say, well, what is the lineage here? In many, many ways, I would say the lineage here is a lineage that comes from the heart of the mother, right? And also from her wells and her springs, the waters. In future, I'm going to be sending you videos and more exposure to what the waterwork is, so that you have at least a sense of it. But Sufism, Daoism, and an understanding of Shakti very much inform what's here. And so I wanted to take a minute with those three things. Um, Sufism. So I spent time when I was in my early 20s. I left the East Coast for the West Coast, just following a call, and I ended up on a Sufi community, and I spent a few years there. I had my son there, studying both Sufi healing arts and energy healing, and also because that order, the Sufi order that I was a part of, the Shadiliya Tariqa, is an Islamic Sufi order. There are many different kinds of Sufi orders. Some of them are more westernized, some of them are deeply Islamic, right? So the one that I was studying with was the sheikh of that order was a sheikh at the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. So that is what it is. But how I would say that Sufism informs her mystery school is that it's a mystical tradition. The heart of Sufism has to do with surrender to God and a real dissolving into actual intimacy with God. God is understood as the friend, the beloved. There's intimate companionship there. It's not a concept, right? One of the understandings from Sufism that I think really informs how I'm holding her mystery school is that there's an understanding of Allah as God, like the One, that kind of unnameable essence of God that permeates all things. In that, there are the 99 names. So there's an understanding that for the human being, to approach the throne, to move to Allah, to God direct. And this is actually shared in my understanding in Kabbalistic understandings, is that we can't get that close. We would burn up. It's too bright, right? There is a mercy in the 99 names, the qualities that one moves through in order to meet us so that we might know that one. And so the qualities of God, they can be the magnificence, the patience, the beauty, the severity, right? So there's an understanding in Sufi practice, when you're working with the 99 names, you work with qualities of God with an understanding that it's one light shining through all of them. So how does that inform some of what we're doing here in the school? One is that the way that we're working with deep feminine, intimate, divine connection is with an understanding that she who is all things will meet us however we can be met. And she will meet us in so many different ways and still be true to her nature as love, still be true to her nature as the one who made and sustains us, despite all the different qualities, forms that she might move through. So there are many other ways that Sufism informs the school and what I'm bringing through there. I'm an ongoing student of that lineage. Um, but just to name that, and is there anything else? I mean, sometimes I speak to it specifically, right? And in Queen's Command, we speak to it much more um, specifically. Um, just to say that for the Sufi, her connection to God is the most important thing, and it's not a concept. It's an intimate relationship. And that's very much what we're cultivating in her mystery school. And when I say deep feminine, I mean that there is intimacy. I mean, this is also the heart of the mother, right? This is Mary. This is the great mother goddess that has, been with us for actually what I realized last night in my reading, 35,000 years, right? Not just some thousands of years, right? She's been with us for a very long time. And she is intimate. She is present in the body of the earth. And she's very intimate, right? So Sufism, Taoism. So another lineage that is very much informing her mystery school is Daoism, right? And I've been studying, so it's informed my work and my life in all sorts of ways, kind of indirectly. Like when I was studying the water work, for instance, that is the Tao, right? Especially the way I was approaching it and the way I was being taught. It wasn't necessarily articulated that way. But the Tao is not that way. The Tao that is called the Tao is not the Tao, right? So when we're talking about a deep feminine approach, it's an attunement to the Tao. It's an attunement to the way. And she is what she is, right? And she moves through all things, but she's recognizable, right? So there's that. And then I've also been, over the summer and continuing on, I'm in intensive study with a Taoist teacher, a Taoist Sufi teacher, actually, who I'll be teaching with soon in the spring. We'll be teaching together. But so that has informed what's here. It's going to continue to inform where we're going. This is where a lot of the understanding of aligning around natural law, right? There are natural laws that can be trusted, and they're not just in nature. They are of creation, of all of creation, right? And they bring harmony. So when we're talking about non-oppositional, how does the lap of the mother hold things that would seem to be oppositional but are not? How do they make each other true, right? That is, for me, it's supported by Taoist understandings, how I'm being taught, which is that all things make each other true if they're held in their wholeness, right? And if the attention is given to the harmony and the kind of like relationship of the things rather than the things themselves. It's their relationship to each other that makes them true, if that makes sense. Yin into yang, right? They each make each other true when they are in harmony. When they're not in harmony, they fracture, right? They go out of balance. They need each other. Another really fascinating thing that I've learned from my teacher recently that has been valuable for me and that I want to share with you. Like I was reading, so a lot of what we're working with him is around Taoist sexual cultivation. And I was reading some email or something on Google, some article on Google, and it was about Taoist sexuality, and it was going through this very rigorous sexual protocol. Like, okay, you are going to have sex and you're going to do it in this position. You'll do 9 thrusts in this way, then 3 shallower thrusts, and then 9 deeper thrusts. It was like this whole thing, right? And I was reading it, and my being was just, it immediately was like, had rejected it completely. I got such a strong no to it. And I thought to myself, like, this, whatever this is, that's not the thing. That is not the deep feminine. That's not what I'm feeling. And when I talked to my teacher about it, he clarified for me that, for instance, what I was reading underneath of a Taoist, being called Taoist work was actually Confucian, was from a Confucian ideology. So Confucianism was much more political. was much more rigid. It was much more, it was not Taoist. It is not Taoist. It doesn't have the surrender, the suppleness, and the connection to life, to the deep feminine, which is the Tao, that Taoism in its truth has. So Lao Tzu, the Tao Te Ching, go there for depth of original, kind of pure Taoist understanding, right? But be aware, and this is just in general for us living in a time when so many spiritualities have come forth. They are, many of them, outside of the bounds of their traditional holding, and words can mean a lot of things, right? So watch your reaction to things. So in that case, what I was reading was all about control and about agenda, right? The opposite of the Tao. You relinquish your control and your agenda in order to move with Tao. And that is the deep feminine to me. That is deep feminine approach. You have to become her in order to know her, right? So again, Taoism is very much informing her mystery school, but again, a very specific kind, and my experience of Taoism, right? So, this leads us to Shakti and kind of a discussion of that. What there is, for me, there's something really important in saying, this is Sufism as I understand it. This is Taoism as I understand it. This is Shakti as I understand her, right? First of all, we don't necessarily know that we know. And second of all, the way that these mysteries or even these words reveal themselves to people, different people of different lenses, is very diverse. And there's a lot of competition, there's a lot of opposition trying to decide who's right and who knows what and what's true. For me, part of what a deep feminine approach is and what a Taoist understanding is and a Sufi understanding is that you get close to the truth and you know that truth directly. And you'll know it because your heart is aligned. You'll know it in your heart. And it's your truth. And it's your God, the one who made you, the one who's sustaining you, guiding you. That direct connection, that's where you answer to. Nowhere else. And that one will bring us to many things in our path. And it's our devotion to that one. It's our discipline and our willingness to purify our own vessels that allows us to eventually find things that are true, right? And we determine those by their fruits, right? Someone can be a Sufi. Someone can be a Taoist and say all the right things, have all the right ideas, and yet the fruits of their actions can be harmful, can be fracturing, right? Can create divisions of arrogance and dehumanization, right? So anyway, I won't go on, but what I wanted to give you at least, this is my understanding of Sufism and it's very much influencing here. This is my understanding of Taoism and it's very much influencing here. And at some places I've listed some of my teachers and I am always a student of all these things, right? So I am always both learning directly from them, from my own practice, from my own prayer, from getting close to the path, from asking, and also I do have teachers that hold me in accountability and who I trust to lead me a little further along the path, right? That brings us to Shakti, and I'll use the word Shakti, so we're going into paradise, and the word Shakti will come up multiple times, and Francesca kind of mentioned to me, which I thought was really good feedback, that like when I say Shakti, for instance, there's so much behind that. There's so much experience and there's so many revelations and there's such a very personal, private relationship. However, that doesn't necessarily translate into the school because I don't often bring a lot of that forward. And there are concerns abroad about cultural appropriation and things like that. So I wanted to speak a minute to Shakti. And So there's two things I want to say, two things. First, Shakti, when I use that word, the reason I choose to use it, like I don't use the word Kundalini, for instance. It's never been that mystery has never been revealed to me, right? But Shakti has, and it's been a direct revelation. And what Shakti is, held in that word, held in the understanding of what that is this, she is, in a way, she's a sexual current, but she is in us and beyond us. She is part of creation, right? So she is this force, but she also moves uniquely inside of each of us, right? And although it's life force, right? She's life force. She does inform sexuality. The reason that I use that word is because it's the best one that I've found to somewhat capture the things that I've seen, happen through the bodies of people in my arms in the water, what I've experienced through my own body in tantric dance or in the water or in lovemaking or in life, right? And for me, the understanding there is that there's a way that it has this wild feminine presence. It doesn't belong to us. And it's worthy of worship, right? There's an adoration called for at the feet of Shakti, right? I haven't had that much time. I know, like, for instance, there's an interesting difference between the way that Shiva and Shakti are held in Hindu theology, right? Shiva is more the still point, right? And Shakti is she who dances inside of that still point. She's the one who, Shiva is holding the still awareness, right? And she is the movement, all that comes from that, and is kind of held by that, right? It's interesting when you try to like overlap these things in Taoism, you could say they're a little bit the opposite. Yin is that deep stillness of the field, the yin field. Yang is that which moves. Yang is anything that moves. So, my general practice is towards Taoism, but the understanding of Shakti is just something that has been true for me. And as far as cultural appropriation, again, a politicized topic, a very socially charged topic. And I think, here in the school, the question for me is, who do you really answer to? When I look at the full lineage of what I would say deep feminine, she belongs to no one. And she has made herself known through cultures for millennia. And I guess it's all of us, we all have our own relationship to that. My understanding, my belief is that women, those of us whose holy responsibility it is to steward life from one generation to the next, that the deep feminine lineage, the nameless one that has moved through all cultures and worn many different names and had many different understandings wrapped around her, is ours. Whether we approach that with reverence is up to us, right? But when she gives you herself, and when you know that has happened, then receive the gift. For instance, with Shakti, I know that I've been given that gift. I know that Shakti has spoken directly to me and moved through me. And I know that there is a reverent, reciprocal relationship between her and I. And so I speak to her. I speak of her. Kundalini, no. You know, many other things, no. What you can trust is that whatever comes through her mystery school, I have touched deeply and directly. It's part of my hidden sacred terrain, right? And if I didn't know it intimately, I wouldn't speak to it. There's something interesting, right, that we're walking as we're reclaiming deep feminine lineage, which is that she, the greater mother, the great mother, the one who holds creation, she's been moving with us for literally 35,000 years or more, but many thousands of years of understood culture. And she is our direct relationship, especially here in her mystery school. I don't know how she's going to appear to you. I don't know how she's going to move you, what's really going to arrive for you. I don't know what culture you're going to be in or what cultural understandings you're going to be drawn to and that are really going to speak to your soul. That is your journey, which I respect. And the way that it's held in her mystery school is that that relationship between you and she, and how she will move through creation and through time and through all of the things, all of the human-made things to meet you, how he will move through all of the human-made things to meet you and remind you of what's true and help you remember what you really are and lead you forward into the good. That's between you and the one who made you. And I hold that as between myself and the one who made me. So what I bring forward here in her mystery school is informed by Sufism. It's informed by Daoism. It's also informed by my personal experience, the extent to which I have been able to understand and touch what Shakti is, right? It's interesting. I have a couple of friends, amazing women, and they are devotees of Shakti deeply. They are Odissi dancers. They have spent long periods of time in India in depth of study. And you know, it's interesting, and just to share this, like, I'm not going to share that actually. I'm just going to say that there are levels, right, of the truths of life and how close we each get to come to any of them and what particular lineages we're drawn to. And the beauty of being called by your soul to something and then giving your life towards it is unparalleled. And that to me is where authenticity lies. It's important, I think, to remember that on the Silk Road and Baghdad and places, you know, places of meeting all through the ancient world and through now, cultures and religions and people met, and they also made each other true. There are ways that it's possible to denigrate another culture by not really understanding it. It's also very possible to do great honor to the beauty that one culture holds or another culture holds or another culture holds, and to hold it as part of the human beauty and of the holiness that we're all seeking together. And I'm guessing a lot of the difference is reverence, you know, but I don't know. Anyway, a little bit of a diversion. I don't really need to go deep down that. I just wanted you to know that if you want to understand Shakti more deeply, she is part of Hindu ideology, Hindu theology, and expect that she'll be different. So those friends that I was talking about, you know, one of the insights that they shared with me was that they would go from locality to locality, and in many different localities, the mythology and the understanding, for instance, even of Shiva and Shakti, would differ. There were different myths just from locality to locality that, you know, such that the rigidity with which the Western mind tends to hold things was not in place there, is not in place in India in their experience. So expect that things are not going to resolve to be very tidy. And however, there is a lot more, obviously, than what I'm offering here. If you want to explore Shakti, if you want to explore Sufism or Taoism, I have teachers that I work with. You're going to be getting more and more of them over time. And Sufism, that's in some of the books that I've recommended. And it's just, you can trust that that is very much infused in everything that we do here. Okay, so that was my stab at giving you a little bit more of an understanding of some of the lineages that are actually informing what we're doing here, with an understanding that I'm very clear that the lineage that I'm serving is an unspoken one. And yeah, is an unspoken one. So, there are a lot of other things, a lot of other places, a lot of other depths of study that are here, but those are three of them. When I say to you that I've been in this for 25 years, I have been. And so if you have questions about what's informing these things, you can always ask them. It's always really helpful to have a direct question, right? Okay, I just give you what I got, and you get to see what opens your own soul. Alrighty, love you. Bye.